You know that feeling when you get into a new relationship, and this doesn't have to be a partnership, like any exciting new relationship where you have all of these like big feelings, big emotions going on. In non-monogamous reality, we call that new relationship energy, which again, I don't think is exclusive to non-monogamy. But as someone who works in this field and does a little bit of therapy work and has an understanding of some of the complex ways our brains work, I have a bit of a take. Maybe it's hot, I don't know. The more I think about new relationship energy, or NRE, the more I actually think it's a kind of nervous system dysregulation. Let me explain. Most of the time when we talk about dysregulated nervous systems, we're actually thinking about trauma responses in the nervous system where we become dysregulated as a way of feeling like we're not grounded. We feel maybe not like ourselves. If we were a computer, it would almost be like the computer is offline. And usually that happens from being triggered, and I'm using this word in its sort of intended way. I know it gets overused a lot, right? But something or some things, right, trigger us into a trauma response, which is nervous system dysregulation. It's usually associated with something that is traumatic for our nervous system. So we don't associate it with something exciting and positive. But I've been thinking a lot about my own experiences of NRE and also talking to other people about theirs. And then I've run this by some of my colleagues. Now, let me be clear. This is a theory. This is not an absolute, but I have been thinking about it more and more. And I would love to get your perspective on it if you have one, right? But it seems the more we think about it, the more this idea of NRE as nervous system dysregulation makes sense. NRE is usually associated with a period of anywhere from about 3 months to 2 years where the chemicals of like the bonding chemicals and the dopamine, the oxytocin, which is that bonding chemical, the serotonin levels, right? All of these like excited hormones are going absolutely bananas in our brains. And when I would say dysregulated, again, it almost feels like we become a little bit less like our typical grounded selves. So we might choose to stay up way past our bedtime for something really exciting, or we might be willing to break some of our own boundaries. I know people who have broken other boundaries in other relationships because of this flooding of new relationship chemicals. Now, some of that is, it's not excusing anything, right? And it's not like, oh, my NRE made me do it. Like, that's not how it works. Because I say the same thing about trauma responses, right? My trauma might be a reason, it's never an excuse. But I would say, and I have seen, that our judgment can be changed and impacted by this flood of NRE chemicals in a way that can be really dysregulating. What do you think?